Hi everybody, what's up? I'm Katie Austin and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be telling you guys what it's like to really start my own business, any advice and tips and things that I've learned from being a young entrepreneur. I'm going to be giving you guys 5 different things that I've learned, some takeaways and pieces of advice if you are trying to start your own business. But before we start, I just wanted to give a little background on me because not everyone watching this will know who I am or what exactly I've done. So I just wanted to kind of explain to you the businesses I've tried to create. So besides my blogging, my fitness videos, and the content creation that I've been working on currently, in the past I worked on 2 different TV shows. It took up 2 years of my life. The 2 TV shows that didn't work out, but that's okay. And then I worked on a clothing line last year. I came out with my own clothing line called Flaunt to Fit of original workout rompers. And then currently what I've been dealing with lately is the creation of my app, which isn't working too hot for me right now. So I'll explain to you what I've learned from all of that and kind of get into details a little bit later. I also just want to share all this with you guys because sometimes from the outside looking in, it can look like it's just a super easy thing to do, but I wanted to be totally transparent with you guys and show you guys the reality of all of this and what I've been working on. But let's start off with tip number 1. There's a lot of uphills and a lot of downhills with being an entrepreneur. It can hit some crazy high peaks and you can feel so confident about what you're doing, and then 2 days later or even the next day, you're like, uh-oh, this is not gonna work out, and you really start to doubt yourself. So there's some days that you feel super great about what you're doing, and then the next day, it can all just not be there at all. It's never just an uphill chart of your successes. It is literally always a up, down, up, down. 1 week I feel awesome. The next week I start doubting myself. The 1 week I get a really cool job or a really cool meeting, or I made it into a casting, and the next week I get 10 no's. So that's just always how it happens. You just gotta stay confident about it. Tip number 2, it takes a ton of trial and error. I have tried so many different things, and no, not everything always works out the first time. So for my clothing line, for example, I actually made hundreds of samples of my rompers, and the first samples came out and they were too big, second samples came out and they were too small, and I just never got it right the first time. You're never going to. It takes a ton of learning process, and to be honest, that was okay that it didn't work out the first 3 times. At the moment, I thought it was like the end of the world, but I learned so much from each trial and error. And take my website, for example. I've gone through so many different trials and errors of what works for a website and what doesn't. So still trying to figure that out right now, but you know what? Everything that I've learned up to now has been a great experience, and I'm so thankful and appreciative for everything I've learned. So just remember, if you don't get it right the first time, that is a-okay. I'm sure 99% of people out there who started their own business or are entrepreneurs will tell you that they didn't get it right the first time, and it took a lot of tries. So going off that, tip number 3 and what I've learned is it takes a ton of patience. You just have to remember that things take a ton of time and nothing is gonna happen overnight. I always want stuff to be like ready the next week or ready the next day or even ready next year. And it just doesn't happen like that. You have to be very patient about what you're working on and make sure you don't rush it, because that's never the way to go. And so for tip number 4, this is a piece of advice that I've definitely learned from being a young entrepreneur, is to look at how far you've come and not what you've given up. So I'm about to get really personal here. I just want to explain to you guys what kind of I've been through and maybe help anyone who's trying to start their own business. So the past 2 years and even the year before that, I was saving up money to really build this business, and I worked super hard, and I had a savings, and I had so much money in that savings to build my app, my clothing line, and to be honest, they didn't work out the way I wanted to. And so I seriously could say to myself and sit here right now and say, all that hard work for the past 2.5 years have totally gone to waste. And I could say to myself and think about how much money I've wasted, but I can never look at it like that, because if I looked at it like that, I would be hurting and killing myself in the inside. I just have to look at it as how far I've come and what I learned from all those experiences and what each project that I was working on gave to me. So everything that I've done, all the effort, all the creativity I put forth, it was a learning process, and I'm gonna just move on from there. And instead of looking at it on how much I've wasted or where I was months ago and how much I could have done instead or what paths I could have taken, I'm gonna look at all that, reassess myself, and say, hey, you know what? I have a crap ton of time still left to figure all this out, and if that didn't work out, I'm gonna take this other path right now. So I just gotta look at how much time I have ahead of me, and to be honest, in the long run, it probably wasn't that much money and it probably wasn't that much time. So we all good. And tip number 5, my favorite piece of advice of all, because it is what means most dear to my heart, is always staying true and confident to what you believe in. If you are struggling with a business right now, or if you've ever wanted to do your own thing or become an entrepreneur and do what you passionately love, do it, because you only have one life to live. And if you really believe in it, what is holding you back? Being an entrepreneur can be super tough because you can really doubt yourself at times. Other people will doubt you, can really lose your self-esteem. But if you stay confident in what you believe in and you truly know this was meant for you, then you will be perfectly fine. You just gotta keep going. All right, you guys, so those were 5 things I just wanted to share with you guys about what I've learned and piece of advice that you guys can take away if you are trying to start your own business or being a young entrepreneur like I am. Also, I just wanted you guys to remember that outside looking in, it's never just a straight up slope just like that, okay? It's always gonna be ups and downs. So remember that. If any of you guys have any other piece of advice for us young entrepreneurs out there, I'd love to hear it and take anything in. If you guys share the same experiences like I did, I'd love to hear about it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and just remember to always believe in yourself and trust your purpose. See you guys later.